In early modern England, the crown was a powerful symbol of political leadership and the foundation of national stability, social hierarchy, and even religious identity. The king was believed to rule by divine sanction, appointed by God to maintain order in a fragile and tumultuous world. For much of British history, any threat to the crown was seen as a direct challenge to the natural and spiritual order that held the kingdom together. In 1603, after the childless Elizabeth I died, James VI of Scotland became James I of England and took the throne. This is a special occasion because it united the crowns of Scotland, England, and Ireland under a single monarch for the first time. This event, known as the Union of the Crowns, brought hope for stability, but also anxieties about loyalty, succession, and the future of the monarchy. Just 2 years later, in 1605, the country was stunned by a failed plot to blow up Parliament and assassinate the king. The Gunpowder Plot, orchestrated by a group of English Catholics, nearly killed James I and deeply shook public confidence in the safety of the realm. The discovery of the plot triggered widespread fear of treason and disorder, fears that would have been fresh in everyone's mind when William Shakespeare wrote Macbeth. In Macbeth, Shakespeare draws on these events, the fragile union of crowns and the recent near regicide, to form the plot of the play. The play becomes not only a tragedy of personal downfall, but a warning about what happens when the stability of monarchy and order is challenged. In this way, Macbeth is not a neutral play when put into historical context. Shakespeare writes in the patronage of a Scottish king in a time when maintaining faith to the crown was important above all else but God, so it does everything it can to promote the idea of divine right and condemn all who oppose the king. Act 2 especially makes special effort to convey the unnatural horror of the murder of King Duncan. Quote, "Confusion now hath made his masterpiece. Most sacrilegious murder hath broke ope the Lord's anointed temple, and stole thence the life of the building. The night has been unruly. Some say the earth was feverous and did shake." And in a dialogue between Ross and an old man, "And Duncan's horses, a thing most strange and uncertain, beauteous and swift, the minions of their race, turned wild in nature, broke their stalls, flung out, contending 'gainst obedience, as they would make war with mankind. 'Tis said that they eat each other. They did so, to the amazement of mine eyes that looked upon it." Together, these passages show how Macbeth portrays regicide as a direct violation of the divine order, reinforcing the doctrine of divine right of kings. Macduff's description of Duncan as the Lord's anointed and his body as a temple frames the king as a sacred figure whose murder is an act of sacrilege rather than mere political violence. Shakespeare externalizes this spiritual rupture through the natural world. The unruly night, trembling earth, and monstrous behavior of Duncan's horses all signal that the universe itself recoils from the breaking of God's anointed hierarchy. The chaos demonstrated by the actions of the natural world mirrored the moral chaos unleashed in Scotland, making clear that the murder of a rightful king disrupts not only human society but the entire order. Through these images, the play dramatizes the belief that kings rule by divine sanction and that attacking them invites catastrophic order. In Act 1, Macbeth even admits that he has no ground to stand on. Quote, "I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition." In this moment, Macbeth admits that he has no legitimate justification for killing Duncan, no spur or external cause that would make the act morally or politically defensible. The only force driving him forward is vaulting ambition, which he recognizes as excessive, reckless, and inherently unstable. Just as Macbeth reflects early 17th century anxieties about kingship and divine authority, Paradise Lost emerges from a later moment when those very foundations have been violently challenged. Just as Macbeth can only be discussed within its context, so too can Paradise Lost. About 40 years after Macbeth was published, England went through a political crisis unlike anything in its history. Tensions between the monarchy and the Parliament escalated into the English Civil War. For the first time, a reigning king, Charles I, was tried and executed by his own people in 1649. After his death, England abolished the monarchy and became a republic, ruled first by Parliament and then, more aggressively, by Oliver Cromwell as Lord Protector. But this Republican experiment was short-lived. After Cromwell's death, the government collapsed, and in 1660 the monarchy was restored under Charles II. With the restoration came sweeping political reversals. The period was marked by intense debates about authority, obedience, rebellion, and the legitimacy of rulers. It was in this charged political climate that John Milton created Paradise Lost. Milton had been a committed supporter of the Revolution and even worked for the Cromwellian government, which made him a dangerous man to be associated with once the monarchy returned. His Republican writings were banned, and he lived under threat during the Restoration. Blind and politically silenced, Milton turned to epic poetry to explore the same issues that had shaken England. He uses the metaphor of God and Satan to critique the idea of monarchy. Satan spends the entire text being critical of God's right to rule. Satan goes on long monologues, saying that, "Who can in reason then, or right, assume monarchy over such as live by right his equals, if in power and splendor less in freedom equal? Or who can introduce law and edict on us, who without law err not? Much less for this to be our Lord, and look for adoration to the abuse of those imperial titles, which assert our being ordained to govern, not to serve. Here at least we shall be free. The Almighty hath not built here for his envy, will not drive us hence. Here we may reign secure, and in my choice to reign is worth ambition, though in hell. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven." These passages together reveal Milton's sustained critique of absolute monarchy, articulated through Satan's rebellion. Satan believes God's claim to monarchy to be arbitrary and self-serving. His complaint that God misuses imperial titles exposes Milton's suspicion of rulers who legitimize power through inherited or divinely sanctioned authority rather than merit or consent. In the second passage, Satan transforms this political argument into a creed of rebellious self-rule, asserting that freedom, even in hell, is preferable to submission under an imposed sovereign. The narrative of Paradise Lost transforms the English Civil War into a battle between God and Satan, with Satan representing Oliver Cromwell and God representing the king. This does not mean that the demons are meant to be wholly perfect figures, however. In his writing, it seems obvious that John Milton is disillusioned with the English Republic. Oliver Cromwell was known to be as ruthless as the king that he replaced. And though the demons practice a form of democracy, they all fear Satan and know that he is the one truly in control. Across the 17th century, English writers used their art to grapple with the shifting meaning of kingship. Shakespeare, writing in the shadow of a newly united monarchy and the shock of the gunpowder plot, reinforces the sacred authority of the crown and the catastrophic consequences of defying it. Milton's writings, on the other hand, were shaped by civil war, regicide, and the collapse of the Republican rule. Together, Macbeth and Paradise Lost reveal a culture wrestling with the limits of obedience, the dangers of ambition, and the profound human cost of political power. Thank you for watching my English 2230 final. Good night.